Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar today. Today we're going to be diving in and teaching you how to build an initial business credit profile and score. So it's going to be a busy webinar today. It's a hot topic. I can tell because when I always schedule a webinar, I can tell by how quickly and how many people register how popular the topic is. And this one is a hugely popular topic. You see, business credit's awesome, but a lot of people struggle to build it, especially in the initial steps. So today what we're going to do is dissect this. We're going to teach you exactly how you could start a business credit profile and score, because don't be mistaken, once you have it started, once you have a business credit profile, score, and initial trade lines, it's fairly easy to expand that credit profile and score and get more money. It's just getting it started that usually is the uphill battle that so many people face. So I will tell you that if you have questions today, just go ahead and email them to me after. I will put up my email address. You can send them to me. This is going to be just an hour packed full of information. I'm going to move at a pretty fast pace because we have so much content to cover, and I have another webinar right after this, so I won't have a time for a question and answer session at the end. So if you send me an email with your questions, I'll definitely make sure that they're answered. So before we jump in, let me make sure that I introduce myself. My name's Ty Crandall. I'm actually the Director of Business Services here at Credit Suite. And what I actually do is I work with companies to help them offer business credit services and financing to their clients. And as a result, I oversee a very, very large coaching division. I would probably guesstimate it's the biggest in the country that helps thousands and thousands of people build their corporate credit. So if you're interested at all in building your credit or working with our team, or most importantly, offering business credit and financing to other people that are in need, then feel free to check us out. Right there is our website, creditsuite.com/business credit. There's going to be no pitch or sales yada yada here. This is just going to be straight information. So if you are interested in learning more, you can just check it out. creditsuite.com/business credit. You can get all the details there. And so let's go ahead and jump in. I always like to start by giving you an overview real quickly of what business credit is, because there's a lot of people that come to my webinars for the first time and they're just not clear on exactly what business credit is when we first start talking about it. So I'm going to go over some slides, and sometimes I throw these in on some of my webinars, but don't be worried if you've seen some of these before. I have a ton of fresh content in this webinar, a lot of stuff I've never even shown before, done before, including giving you access to like 7 or basically 10 trade references that you're able to add to start your business credit. So a lot of stuff we'll be diving into. So if you're not familiar with business credit is basically credit that's obtained in a business name. So what happens with business credit is that a business itself, a corporation, builds its own credit profile and score. And you're probably obviously familiar with credit that's linked to your Social Security number. What we're talking about here is a credit profile that somebody could pull that's linked to your EIN. So they could use your EIN to pull your business credit profile, and then whatever credit is linked to your business will show under that EIN credit report. So with an established business credit profile and score, the business can then qualify for credit. Actually, you can qualify for much the same credit you can qualify for on the consumer side. So if you think about loans and credit lines and auto leases, if you think about credit cards and stores and Visa, MasterCard, all of that same stuff you can get for a business that's linked to your business EIN and not your personal Social Security number. So this credit, the business name, is based on the business's ability to pay, not the business owners. One of the reasons people really love business credit is to get approved. The decision isn't based on your personal credit. It's based on your EIN's credit, your business's ability to pay, not the business owner. So since the business itself qualifies, in a lot of cases, there's no personal credit check required from the business owner. One of the huge, big benefits of business credit. Now, some people like this because they have bad credit and they have sometimes severely challenged personal credit, but it doesn't matter, because when you build business credit correctly, as I'm going to show you in this webinar how to start, then they pull your credit linked to your EIN. They won't even pull your social. As a matter of fact, you can leave your social off the app and get approved based strictly on corporate credit, not personal credit. But even if you have good credit, this is very beneficial, because any credit you get that you put on your personal credit, as you utilize that credit, it affects your personal credit scores. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know this, but if you use more than 30% of the limit of a credit card that you have, your scores will go down. It hurts your scores, sometimes as much as you paying the account late. So with business credit, It requires no credit check, which is nice even if you have bad credit, but it's also nice because it's linked to your business credit, not your personal. So as you use this credit, your scores won't be adversely affected. And like I said, once you actually build your business credit profile and score, which we're going to talk about today, you can use it much the same as you can your personal credit. Loans, lines of credit, all the different store credit cards you're familiar with. Apple has one, Target, Walmart, Lowe's, Best Buy. Most retail stores offer business credit accounts linked to your EIN, not your Social Security number, that you can qualify for on top of Visa credit, MasterCard credit, loans, leases. Again, the easiest way, even commercial real estate. So the easiest way to think about it is it's not much different on what you can use it for than what you can use personal credit for. So there's a lot of benefits, obviously. And one benefit is that you're creating a completely separate credit profile for your business and personal. So that's nice because then you could get twice as much credit. Like now you could have a Staples credit card in your personal name and the Staples credit card in your business name. So it just gives you a lot more versatility, a lot more credit that's available to you when you're building credit to your EIN and your Social Security number. Now, another benefit is that business credit scores are based only on whether the business pays its bills on time. So it's just much faster to build business credit than it is consumer credit. Consumer credit, the FICO's requirement is 6 months, which means you have to have a trade to get a trade line reported and get a score. Excuse me, let me clarify that. You can get a trade line reported, but for FICO to issue you a score, you have to have an account open and paid for 6 months. That's the way that it is. So if you have no credit profile and you're just getting started, you get a credit account approved today. FICO will make you keep that account for 6 months before they will give you a score. Well, in the business credit world, you could get credit today. It could easily report within a month. Your trade line scores, profiles established, and you're literally getting revolving credit cards typically within 30 to 90 days. As a matter of fact, within 6 months in the business credit world, you could have like $10,000, $20,000 Visa MasterCard limits. In the same time frame that in the consumer world, it takes you to even just get a score. So significantly faster to build business credit than personal credit, which is another huge benefit. And approval limits are a lot higher too. You know, I love SBA because SBA had a good quote on this saying that approval limits are 10 to 100 times higher on business credit accounts than consumer. It's very accurate, very true. So, for example, if you do have a $2,000 Staples credit card, then chances are good you could probably get a $2,500 to $4,000 business credit card with Staples. So not only can you get a personal card and business card, but your business cards have significantly higher limits, which helps you just get even more access to credit and money. Now, another huge benefit is, again, as we mentioned before, when you do this correctly, you can obtain this credit without a personal credit check. Now, a lot of people mess this up, and we're going to just dissect this a little bit later and talk about exactly what you have to do to make sure that they don't pull your credit report. But if you can easily do it, it's very easy to build corporate credit that's linked to your EIN, not your SSN. It's just a matter of knowing how to do it, and that's one of the things we're going to dissect here in a little bit. So, and another benefit is that you can build business credit without having any liability. So this means in case of default, the business owner's personal assets can't be pursued. This is rare. You know, I was just having a meeting today with our team, and this is one of the things we were talking about is a personal guarantee versus no personal guarantee. Most business funding requires a personal guarantee. But with business credit, you can obtain this without having any access to a personal guarantee, which again means it's not linked to your personal credit, but you're not personally liable. So if you ever do default or something happens that's out of your control even, and it causes you to be late or whatever it may be, then they can't pursue your personal assets if you ever default. And this is just a great way to keep your family's finances safe and secure and separate from your business. Now, when a business owner applies for financing, anywhere, whether you go to a bank or wherever it is you're getting a loan, your credit is going to be reviewed. They do look at your corporate credit. And if you don't have a business credit profile established, you're probably going to get declined. But you need to be aware that they will not tell you this, ever. There's no regulation. The only reason a bank sends you a notice in the mail that tells you you've been declined and what bureau they pulled is because the Fair Credit Reporting Act in the consumer world mandates it. It requires it. It's law. But in the business world, there is no such regulation. There is no such law. So lenders 100% of the time, when you apply for money for a business, they pull your credit. And if you have no business credit, they deny you. And they'll never tell you they pulled it. As a matter of fact, a lot of the front-end bankers don't even know that they pull it. So as a result, you may never know that it's happening. But it does happen. I mean, and it shouldn't be a mystery, right? If you ever go to apply for a personal credit card or a mortgage or a loan of any kind, they're always going to pull your personal credit. It's like never going to be surprising to you that it was done. They always pull it. Well, it's the same thing in the business world. If you apply for any kind of business financing, they always pull your credit file. There's no question. They always pull it, but they won't disclose it to you. So it's important to note, because if you want to have a history, or if you want to have a future in any kind of business, you have to have access to money. Okay, whether it's Facebook or Microsoft or Apple, all of them started with injections of cash or grew with other people's money. If you want to build your business, you're going to need access to money, and the only way you're going to get access to money is if you have your business credit built. Otherwise, these lenders are going to pull your credit, see you have no credit established, and just like they would do in the consumer world, they're just going to turn you down and not give you the money that you need. Another thing to know about business credit, or I guess to get it into the starter part of exactly how you build initial business credit, is that, to build business credit, it's not really that much different than what you would do to build a consumer credit profile. You start with no credit profile at all, and then you basically get approved for new credit that reports to the credit reporting agencies. And then that business you use the credit and pay the bill on time. So far, this is no different than how you would build a consumer credit profile, if you think about it. You start with nothing, and then you go out and you get approved for some new credit that reports to the credit reporting agencies, and then you use the credit, you pay your bill, and then if you pay your bill on time, then they report that you paid your bill on time to the business credit reporting agencies, and you have a credit profile established. And as you continue using that credit, paying the bill, you'll qualify for more and more credit. Every single thing I listed here is exactly the same in the business and consumer world. There is no difference there initially. You start with nothing. You get approved for credit. You use the credit, pay the bill on time. They report to the credit reporting agencies, and you have a credit profile and score. Now, there are some things that you want to make sure that you do before you go in and start applying for credit. And again, this webinar is as much about the mistakes as people make, as well as the step-by-step formula to actually have success here. So one of the things that you have to do before you even think about applying for corporate credit is to make sure that your business is set up credibly. Because this perception that lenders have about you is everything, especially when you're just starting to build a business credit profile. Remember, the topic of this webinar is how to get started, how to initially get this credit built. Well, in order for you to initially get your credit built, your application itself has to be strong enough for you to get approved. And as your business continues to grow, lenders look as much at your application to find out details about you as they do as your business credit profile. So this is something important to know. You need to know their secret formula for approval, what they're really looking at. Because if you set up your application where your company's very credible in their mind, then you stand an excellent chance of getting approved, especially as you establish your business credit and they see a credible business, then they see established business credit profile. That formula is what will really tie into you getting access to a tremendous amount of money. So before you even start applying, you have to make sure that your business itself meets these lending credibility standards. Now, I'm not going to dissect all 20 of them. Okay, that's a whole other webinar. Matter of fact, I've got webinars or videos available on my YouTube channel where you can access that kind of information. But I will look at some of the main points that you need to address to make sure that your business is set up credibly in the lender's eyes. And one of the things is it's very important that you use your exact business legal name. Your full business name should include any DBAs that you're using, and you need to ensure that your business name is exactly the same on your corporation papers, licenses, and bank statements. Believe it or not, this is one of the leading reasons for denial at a bank. Our senior business advisor, Megan Christensen, used to work for one of the biggest banks in the country. As a matter of fact, she was the top banker in the country for this bank. And she'll say it time and time again that one of the most irritating things was for her to see applications denied because of this. Somebody would put their name on the application, they would search it, the name wasn't exact, and because they were searching a non-exact name, they couldn't find the business and they would turn it down. And in a lot of cases, it's a very common mistake. For example, your business might be, well, I'll give you our business. Our business's name is Credit Suite. Well, Credit Suite is different than Credit Suite Incorporated. Believe it or not, those are two completely different names. And Credit Suite doing business as Business Finance Suite, well, that's a completely different name altogether. So the lenders will not go looking for the right information if they can't find it. So you've got to make sure that what you're putting on the application is exactly as your corporation is laid out with the state. If you do this, they can look at your record, find your Secretary of State information, and know you really exist. But if you don't leave, if you leave the incorporation out, if you leave the DBA out, in a lot of cases they can't find you, and it leads to instant denial. So you really got to make sure that you have that addressed. And once you know you have the name correctly in the application, make sure it's also right on the corporation papers, licenses, bank statements. A lot of people make that same mistake. They go in and apply for Credit Suite, and when the real name is Credit Suite Incorporated. So you need to make sure that everything is uniform. This is what lenders are looking for. And a lot of this information, like your corporation papers, this is public record. So they can easily access your licenses. This stuff is easily accessible for them to do checks. Okay, it's very important that you file your corporation and get your EIN number. Okay, you get your phone listed with 411. There's actually a few things, so let me talk about each one. You need to make sure that you have your EIN. You have to do this. Like, you cannot apply for credit if you don't have an EIN number. So once you get incorporated or set up an entity in your state, then it's fairly easy beyond that to actually set up your EIN number. Okay, you can go online and Google get an EIN number, and you'll find a million pages about it. It's very easy with links to the IRS form that you need to do it. So it's very easy to get an EIN. You just need to have your entity or corporation set up first. Then you need to get your EIN, because the whole purpose of business credit is to build credit that's linked to your EIN, not your social. So in order to do that, you have to have an EIN to link the credit to. Now, as equally as important, you need to make sure your phone number is listed with 411. Now, that sounds like an absurdly crazy comment. I just told you getting your phone number listed in 411 was just as important as getting your EIN. Believe it or not, in the business credit building world, it is. And this is one of the fundamental mistakes that people make. Now, it's not easy to do. You might go, okay, Ty, 411, no problem. Myself, I got stuck 4 months on this because I found nobody out there to do it. I'm going to save you that 4 months of research time. It's called List Yourself. That's the company we use. They're called List Yourself. I have no idea how much they cost, because we do all of this for free for our clients, and our bills are outrageous, thousands and thousands of dollars with them. I don't know how much it is per, if you're doing it just as an individual. But List Yourself's phenomenal. They'll help you get your number listed with 411. And when you start building business credit, these are very important. As you're going to see later in this webinar, you're going to find actual sources that will approve you if you just have an EIN and 411. But you have to have those two things. They're very essential, which is why I put very underlined, really big bold up here at top. These are very important, crucial to your success. You need to make sure you're listed with 411. Again, these two items are essential. If you ever see me in a webinar, do italics, bold, underline, red. That is one of the most important things I'm ever going to mention at a webinar. And these two things are essential to get approved for business credit. You will fail miserably unless you have them, so you need to make sure you get those two things addressed. You need to have a real brick and mortar building address, a deliverable physical address. Can't be a home address, can't be P.O. box, UPS box. Okay, a lot of lenders are not going to approve you for money if they see you're using a home address. Okay, a lot of them, they just will not do it. As a matter of fact, some of our banking lenders that do bank loans do site inspections. So this is important. Now, you don't need to have an actual physical address. You can get a virtual address. And a lot of people email me and say, Ty, where can I get a virtual address? Well, the company I recommend is called Regus.com, R-E-G-U-S. Regus.com has virtual addresses. And virtual address is where you have a physical address you could put on the application, but you don't actually work out of that office. You just get mail there. So somebody could, email, mail something to Ty at creditsuite.com in this high-rise building in Tampa, and it looks like that's my office, but then the Regus office there just forwards me my mail. So I just use it to give me the perception of being in a big high-rise building, but then I get my mail delivered to me in mail to my house. You could do that. So you don't have to have a physical address, but on the application you need to have a physical address, even if it's a virtual address you're using. Okay, you should have a toll-free number. Nowadays it's easy to do. Ring Central, $9.99 a month for a toll-free number. If you're not a local service like a pizza shop, then most people nowadays are doing business, throughout a state or nationwide. And you're going to need a toll-free number. It just makes you look unprofessional if you're not a local delivery type service and don't have a toll-free number. So just spend a very minor amount of money that you need to do that. Same with a fax number. Nowadays at Ring Central, you could get your fax number and phone number together. Okay, so it saves you a ton of money. And if you'll hear me mention companies like Ring Central and Regis, as you can see, I will give you an affiliate link later you could use because it saves you money. But I'm not giving you links like to go buy stuff from them so I get paid. I'm just telling you who we use. Okay, we've used almost all these companies out there. I'm telling you who we use because, in my opinion, they're the best. You'll never hear me recommend somebody that hasn't worked very well for hundreds or thousands of our clients. And Ring Central is a good company. They're good, they're cheap, they're easy to set up, and you can get a toll-free number and fax number very cheap. Even though you might not use a fax, you still should have one. An e-fax nowadays will just send a fax to your phone, like to your email, so you don't even need a physical fax machine. And you need a professional email address, like my email address, ty@creditsuite.com, your name at yourcompany.com. I always use the same example. Don't go in using partychick2013 at Yahoo. Believe it or not, people try to do that. You just can't do that. You don't want to use an MSN or a Google or Yahoo email address because it's so easy. Like you can get a professional domain like creditsuite.com or whatever it may be for very cheap. Maybe not creditsuite.com because that's like a premier name, but you can get most domain names for like $7-8 with a company like GoDaddy.com. And they even give you free email addresses nowadays. So it's really easy to get a professional email set up in a professional domain, really cheap, like less than $10 at a place like GoDaddy. You really should do that. And then you also need a professional-looking website. Lenders look at your website before approving you. Now, some automated systems don't approve you by looking at the website. They just look at certain criteria and automate the approval. But if anybody's manually reviewing your application, they're going to typically look at your website and, believe it or not, I mean, how solid, good, professional your website is can determine how much money you get approved for. So it really is important that you have like a phenomenal looking website to really have the best chance of having success. Now, another thing to keep in mind, which just doesn't really tie into your approval, but some things that you need to keep in mind because some sources will look at this, is that having a high bank account balance will give you a high bank rating. Now, if you're not familiar with what a bank rating is a bank's internal credit reporting system. Okay, a lot of people don't realize that when you go to Bank of America and apply for business financing, they pull their own business credit score, basically, and it's called a bank rating. And the bank rating mostly looks at how much money you have in your bank account. So having a good bank rating is really essential for approval, and the magic number there is 10 grand. If you have $10,000 balance in your credit report or in your bank account, you have a high bank rating, which they'll call a high 5 rating, and that gives you the best chance of getting approved for bank loans and financing. Now, keep in mind, none of this really applies to business credit building. Like having a low balance in your bank account isn't going to hurt your ability to build business credit at all. I'm just adding this in here because you're probably building business credit to get high-end bank loans. It's something to keep in mind down the road, is that you want to have as high of a balance in that account as possible. The higher, the better. 10,000 or higher is the best bank rating you're going to have, which is going to be like a high 5. Now, you also want to ensure that you have the proper licensing, state, city, and county. Make sure your address is correct on all those licenses, too. Do you need an occupational license? Are you a contractor that needs a contractor license? Are you a credit repair company that needs a bond? You know, there's a lot of different industries and companies out there that have to have specific licensing or bonding, and these are things you need to make sure you have done. Nobody wants to give you money if you're an unlicensed contractor, for example. So whatever you're doing, you just need to make sure you're set up legitimate, because in a lot of cases, their internal systems will check some of this just to make sure you are set up as you should be before they'll even approve you. And you also, again, I mentioned this earlier, need to make sure that you take the time to look at your IRS documents, your bank statements, your 411 listing, and the same as what you're putting on the application. It all needs to be your exact legal name with any DBAs, with the incorporation, exactly as it is filed with the actual state. So take a little drink of water, and we'll jump into business credit reports. So it's an exceptional idea to pull your reports with DBA and Experian to check your trade line score and profile before applying. You know, it makes sense, right? I mean, if you're going to try to build business credit, one of the first things you should do is try to like build business credit or know what's on your credit report before you go applying, because you can have positive or negative stuff on there now that you don't even know about. And a lot of clients come to us for business credit building, and they have stuff on their reports that scores 20 or 30, which is really bad, and they never even knew that stuff was there. And then we help them get that stuff fixed. So you need to make sure, because if you start going in and applying at these places with bad credit and get denied, you never even know why unless you pull your credit profile in advance. So trying to get approved with existing bad credit presents unique additional approval challenges. Not to say it can't be done. If you have bad business credit, you can get that fixed, and you also can still build new credit, but it's a different format. You know, your obstacles are a little different than if you have no credit file, so you at least want to make sure you know what's on the business credit report. It's really essential to your success. So review your report and dispute derogatory items before applying for initial credit. Now, I've got a great video on my YouTube channel about how to dispute business credit. And, you know, if you search my name out in Google, and if you're not sure the spelling of my name, I'll give it to you again at the end of the webinar. Then if you look at that on YouTube, you can find I've got a great webinar just on disputing it. It's a whole hour long. I can't really cover it now. But I can tell you that all three credit reporting agencies, main ones, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian, do offer you an online way of disputing the negative information, especially if you're part of their credit monitoring. So they do offer you 3 easy ways to dispute the negative information, and it's not like consumer disputing. Like, consumer disputing has become a business now. It's like an entire process, and there are laws that govern it and lots involved. In the business credit world, there's just not that much of a push for this. So what we found is that like almost 85% of negative items that are disputed get deleted. So it's not hard to fix negative business credit. It's actually very easy to do. The first part's to know that it's happening, know it's there. Then you can easily, through a lot of them, through a quick search on Google or looking at my video mapping out the process, you could dispute any of that derogatory item to try to get that stuff removed. So once you've done this, the next thing you want to do is get your business credit reports, and this is who you should use is Creditera. Okay, I'm going to give you my affiliate link to Creditera, and I am doing that for 2 reasons. One of the first reasons that I'm going to give you this affiliate link to Creditera is because I want you to have the best price. And I think this price, I'm going to go ahead and type this into the chat, I'm pretty sure that this price will be the best price. I don't know if you can get this cheap outside of using somebody else, because we do like a lot of deals with Creditera. So that being said, that's the affiliate link. Now, Creditera is the best out there for a lot of different reasons. And if you want to check out, actually I have this here. Here's our link, but this doesn't work yet. My web guy, I forgot to get this to him to put up a link here. So you could look at this today in this live webinar, and it probably will take you nowhere. And then if you were to look at the same link tomorrow, he would have that affiliate link I just gave you up there. So I just type the affiliate link into the chat, or if you go to this link probably as of tomorrow, you'll actually have that actual link there on that site too. So why would you use our link right there? $29.99 a month is how much they charge for credit monitoring. And you'll never believe what you get. You get Dun & Bradstreet and Experian Business, which is phenomenal. Now, if you go to Dun & Bradstreet themselves or Experian themselves, they'll charge you about $50 a piece. So like each one of them will charge you about $40-50 for credit monitoring. With Creditera, you get both for less than $30. And you also get TransUnion and Experian Personal. Nothing like this exists. I owned a credit repair company, built it, sold it, and I've been in business credit for many years. Every single one of these sources individually charges you about $40-50 for credit monitoring. And with Creditera, you get TransUnion Personal, Experian Personal, DMB Business, Experian Business for $29.99. Now, what else is cool about that is you can search 5 companies. So not only can you find your credit report, but you can even search companies for like 4 other companies at any time and have 5 companies you're looking at. But again, they're really phenomenal. They have a lot of cool stuff. And one of the other cool things they have is they're the only company that offers the new business FICO score. It's not available anywhere else. This is why we got set up with Creditera many, many months ago, because we got wind that they were going to have the business FICO score, and we shifted. We left Dun & Bradstreet. We went to Creditera with no regrets. Their pricing's better. Their service is better. Their reports have so much more information than you're going to get anywhere else, and they're cheap. And that like combination is like what we have to absolutely love something. So I recommend Creditera strongly. They've been a great service for us. And I'm going to tell you a little bit later in this webinar why you really should consider using them. But best bang for the buck, most stuff on the report, those are some of the preliminary things that are probably going to interest you. So now you went ahead and you got yourself set up credibly. You got some access to your business credit reports. Next thing you need to do is you need to obtain vendor accounts first. See, there's my secret formula, right? It's bold, underlined, and red. That means it's like ridiculously important. Okay, and the reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of people mess this up royally. Like they make mistakes here. They don't apply for credit in the right order, and it gets them turned down. So I don't want you to make that mistake. And if you've already made that mistake, we're going to correct it right now. So a business credit report can be started much the same as a consumer report, as we already talked about. And it gets started usually with small credit cards. If you think about it, you know, myself personally, I started building my credit file because my dad co-signed on a truck loan for me when I was in the military. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. A lot of people start building their credit with small secured credit cards. Well, there aren't secured credit cards really in the business world that are very, very available. There are some out there, but they're pretty rare to find. But there are small vendor credit accounts that are called vendor accounts. Okay, so a business can be approved for small credit cards to help you build an initial credit profile. And again, these are called vendor credit accounts. So in the business credit world, your credit file starts with business accounts. This is how it starts. So when you talk about what it takes to initially start your business credit profile, that's exactly what it takes, are vendor accounts. You need to get approved for vendor accounts to establish an initial profile and establish initial trade lines to score, and then start getting into revolving store type credit. So what are vendor accounts? Well, these are accounts that give you credit on net terms. Could be net 15, 30, 60, or 90. Usually net 30 is the most common. So what this means is it means you could purchase a product and then you have to pay it back within that time frame. So for example, if you're set up on a net 30 account, you buy something for $300 today, then you have to pay that full $300 back within 30 days. Now, this is obviously different than revolving accounts, right? Like if you used a revolving credit card and put $300 on it, then you might only have to make a minimum payment of like $15 on that account until it's all paid off. But with a vendor account, with a net 30 type of account, you have to pay the full balance off within whatever those terms are, usually 30 days, to be able to be paying as agreed. So you can get products and services for your business and defer the payment for 30 days, which is pretty cool. I mean, not only are these good because you could build your business credit by establishing them, but they're also good because you could use them. Like it's good to get credit, like office supplies, for example, that you could buy now and not have to pay back for 30 days. Buy it on your business credit as you're establishing your business credit. So pretty cool because you can get stuff you need and delay the payments for 30 days on top of building your business credit in the process. Okay, and a lot of these companies, as you're going to see today, will approve you for as little as an EIN and 411 listing. And remember, I told you how important those things were earlier because now you'll start to see where it is so vital. A lot of these accounts that will give you initial credit will look at two main things. Do you have an EIN? Are you listed with 411? The answer is yes, you could get approved. The answer is no, you probably won't. Okay, so another thing I touched on earlier is you do not ever want to apply for this kind of credit using your Social Security number. You always want to apply first without the social. Now, some sources are going to request it. They'll even demand it. They'll tell you they have to have it, but you always want to try to submit first without it. And many of these people you're talking to don't even know you can get approved without it. I use an example of one of our clients went into Macy's, and they said, hey, I want a business credit card. And the girl said, I know nothing about that. She called over her manager, and he said, I know something about that. I've heard about it, but I don't know how it's done. He called his corporate manager and his regional manager, and his regional manager said, I know something about it, but I don't have the answers. His regional manager called his boss, and his boss had the answers. So that's how many people up the chain it took. And most people will just tell you no. They would never walk it that far up the chain. This person was interesting because we got to see how far it had to get up the management chain before we even knew somebody, before somebody even knew the answer of that it was possible. And this is Macy's, a pretty big company. So the bottom line is, a lot of the people in the front lines of these stores, like they don't know you can apply for credit not using your social. Maybe like a lot of you on this webinar, you never even thought this was possible. A lot of people in stores don't know that. So don't listen to them when they tell you not to do it. Anybody that sees an application from credit filled out with a social blank is going to tell you the same thing. Okay, they're going to be like, hey, man, you can't do that. Like, your social's blank. You have to fill in the social. And, like, if you went to them and said, no, I'm building credit linked to my EIN, they would look at you like you had two heads. They wouldn't even know what you're talking about. So don't listen to the man, whoever it is you're talking to. Don't listen to them. They don't even know what they're talking about in most cases. You absolutely can build the credit link to your EIN, but it won't happen if you put this SSN on the application. Because when you apply using your social, you almost always are giving a personal guarantee. That's what that means. You're giving them the social. You're signing the application. You're personally guaranteeing that debt. So one easy to know that you have business credit already is that if you applied for money and didn't use the social. You know, this happens all the time. I'll go to a convention with a lot of really smart entrepreneurs, and I'll be like, do you have business credit? And then somebody will be like, oh, I have business credit. Yeah, I got that built years ago. That was easy to do. And I know right away this person probably doesn't have it. So I said, well, this isn't like a debit card that has your business name on it. What I'm talking about is how much credit do you have now where you were able to just not even fill out your social security number on the application? And then that's when they'll say, well, I don't have anything like that. Well, that's how I always define what business credit is. If you have real business credit, you were able to get it leaving your social off the app. Did you get credit and you used your social, but you got a credit card that has your business name on it? That's probably not real business credit. It might be issued with your name and your business name on it, but it probably doesn't report to the business credit reporting agencies, and you had to get a credit check to get it, and you also personally guaranteed it. So you could call that business credit, I guess, but it's not business credit in my mind. In my mind, business credit is credit that's linked to your EIN, not your social, which means your social could be left blank. If you put your social on the app, you probably personally guaranteed it, because true business credit doesn't require a social to qualify. Okay, business credit is using your EIN to qualify for credit. So when you have enough credit built for your EIN, you can start getting revolving credit cards, especially without providing that social security number. And remember, if you do provide the social, your personal credit's going to be pulled in most cases. And that personal credit will be used for the approval decision. So if you have bad personal credit and you put the social on the app, you're going to get denied, and you're going to get denied based on your personal credit. The easiest way to prevent is follow the steps we're talking about in this webinar and apply without the social. Then they can't even pull your personal credit report. And then it's obvious, right? Like, nobody can deny you for your personal credit if they can't even pull your personal credit. And if you're not even giving them the social, they can't even pull your personal credit. So most credit issuers will approve you with your SSN if your EIN credit is strong enough. Okay, so that means, you know, or if your EIN is not strong. Let me see. Most credit issuers will approve you without your social security number if your EIN credit is strong enough. If your EIN credit is not good enough, you might be declined, and then they'll just ask you to pull your personal credit. So you don't lose anything by leaving your social off the app. Worst case scenario, they're going to tell you maybe to try to apply with it, and if you know your credit's good, then you'll maybe decide to, or you'll maybe decide to build more credit to your EIN before you apply again. But no matter what any credit representative tells you, credit can be obtained based on your EIN only. Again, I just talked about that. Most people aren't telling you no, they can't be done because they're trying to be malicious. They just don't even know themselves that it really can be done. So you got to start with starter vendor accounts. You're seeing what I'm going with here. This is important because it's all caps. Like, I made this all caps and bolded and underlined, which means it's important. You must start a business credit profile and score with starter vendor accounts. So when I'm talking about starter vendors, these are ones who will give you initial credit even if you have no credit, no score, or no trade lines now. One of the biggest mistakes that I make, or that I see people make, is they apply right here at stores like Staples. You know, they go in, they say, Ty, I tried to build my business credit. And I said, okay, and the first question I ask is, well, when you applied, did you put your social security number on the application? And then they usually say yes. I say, well, you can't do that. That's an instant fail. And the next thing I ask is, well, did you apply it? You know, where did you apply? Staples. Well, did you have any credit before you applied at Staples? No, they won't approve you. Okay, so in order for you to get approved for real business credit, you have to start with starter vendor accounts. These are not stores. If you go into Staples, if you go into Lowe's, if you go into Home Depot or Target or Macy's or Walmart, all of these people will give you business credit. But none of these companies will give you your very first trade line. Now, that's not surprising. They won't do it for you in the consumer world either. Like if you have no credit established, you can't walk into Walmart or Target and get a credit card. They won't approve you. They're going to make you get credit elsewhere first. Then with established trade lines, profile, score, you can walk into a Target, Walmart, Macy's, and get revolving credit. So when I'm talking about a starter account, these are vendors who will give you initial credit even if you have no credit, no scores, no trade lines, just based on your 411, just based on your EIN. Those are real starter vendors. And if you're not using real starter vendors, then don't try to go to stores. Stores will not approve you for initial credit. You will get denied if you try to apply at stores. Instead, you have to go with real starter vendor accounts. So let's look at some of these. Lachlan and Associates. Lachlan and Associates deals with corporate setup and compliance. Okay, that's actually what they do. So if you need to get incorporated initially, if you want corporate compliance to make sure your corporation's in compliance, if you want anything to do with corporation filing type services, then Lachlan and Associates is a good solution. Now they report to Experian. Now who they report to is called a payment experience, excuse me. So if they reported to Experian Undone and Bradstreet, that would be 2 payment experiences. And that's going to become very important to you here in a few minutes. So they report to Experian, which gives you 1 payment experience because they only report to one place. And Experian's very common place for these sources to report. They only look at 411 and EIN. So again, you can get approved if you have a 411 listing and you have an EIN number only. They don't look at anything else to approve you, which again is now it's all tying together. This is why I told you it's vital to have these 2 things done, because there are sources like Lachlan that will only approve you if you have those 2 things done. If you have nothing else, they'll approve you on that. They usually takes 30 to 60 days for them to report, net 30 turns. This is a great starter vendor account. The drawback is you might not need or want to buy a lot of their services. Maybe you don't need corporate compliance services, okay? That's definitely a drawback of Lachlan. But beyond that, they report, you get a trade reference, or you get a payment experience, you get approved with very little required, they report quickly, and you get net 30 terms. This is a perfect starter vendor account. Now another one, and let me fix some of this stuff because some of this stuff is just not having another one. Now another one that I'm going to actually show you in a minute is, let me go ahead and resume this real fast. I had a slide issue there that I had to fix real quick, so please excuse me while I did that. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, so another, let me go here, is Creditera. I talked about Creditera earlier. I told you I love them, love them, love them. Now, the funny thing is that when Creditera was first presented to me, I didn't like them. I'm like, oh, they don't have all 3 reporting agencies, and I don't think I'm going to like them. But I had a lot of resistance until I started using them. And once I started using them, I absolutely love them. But here's what's cool is that they report to Experian and Dun & Bradstreet. So not only for less than $30 can you get access to your credit monitoring, which let's be honest, you need it anyways, right? Like if you're going to build business credit, you're going to want credit monitoring, and they give you D&B and Experian, and you get the bonus of Experian and TU Personal, which is cool. So you get credit monitoring, business and personal, and it combines a lot of sources, so that helps you save a ton of money versus buying it on your own. And they report to Experian and Dun & Bradstreet, which is like freaking awesome. You get 2 payment experiences. Remember, I told you a payment experience is the reporting to 1 credit reporting agency. Creditera reports to 2. These are gold mines. Anybody that reports to 2 or 3 are gold mines because you can get it set up with 1 of them, and you get 2 payment experiences because they report to 2. Now, why are payment experiences important? Well, because you need to have X amount of payment experiences to start getting revolving credit. So the more of these payment experiences you get, the faster you get to revolving credit. So the fastest way you get to revolving store credit is to start getting approved for sources that report with and give you multiple payment experiences like Creditera. Boom, Experian and D&B, awesome. It's also awesome because you're getting something you need anyways. I mean, if you're going to build business credit, you need credit monitoring. So you're getting something you need, unlike Lachlan and Associates, which isn't something you really need, and you get 2 payment experiences, which is awesome. And there's no approval requirements, like at all. Like they don't look at any detailed stuff, personal credit or anything, to approve you. So it's easy to get approved. You just sign up for Creditera, $30, and you get approved. Now, there is a drawback of Creditera. It takes them about 6 months to report to Tradeline. Now, eventually that will change, but this is what happens. In order for any company to report to the business credit reporting agencies monthly, they need to have a certain amount of records. And in a lot of those cases, I think it's 2,000 records a month they have to have reporting to be able to report monthly. Well, Creditera is new. They just don't have enough people using them yet to be able to get to monthly reporting, and they will. Their service is phenomenal and cheap, so they'll grow that big. But right now, they're not big enough, so they can only send data to D&B about every 6 months because that's how long it takes them to get enough records to get reported. But as they grow, they will go to a monthly reporting. So, I mean, it's really a good place to stay with them, but you have to keep in mind that with Creditera, it takes 6 months for even a trade line to be established, a lot longer than most of these other sources you're going to see today. And net 30 terms, because they just charge you every 30 months, 30 days for your credit monitoring, just like most monthly credit monitoring services do. Oh, what happened there? Okay, so another true vendor is Quill. Quill Office Supplies basically has gotten their name because they help build business credit. Like, nobody, I think, would even know who Quill was if they didn't report business credit. But they actually sell office supplies, packaging, and cleaning supplies, and they report to Dun & Bradstreet. Now, with Quill, in a lot of cases, you've got to place an initial order first unless you have a D&B score established. So if you already have some credit, D&B's already given you a Paydex score, you don't need, Quill will probably give you credit right away. But if not, and you have no credit, then what's going to happen is they're going to come in and they're going to request that you place an order first. Now, here's the cool news. You don't have to, like, buy $50 or $100 or $200 worth of stuff. You could buy like $5 or $10 worth of highlighters or pens to make this work. Okay, so you go in, you try to get credit, they say no, you buy something, an initial order, then you apply again, they say no, and you keep that cycle going. So usually they'll put you on a 90-day repayment schedule. Okay, so if you do get approved, then, for example, they'll put you on a 90-day repayment schedule. And if you order items each month for those 3 months, then they'll typically approve you for net 30 accounts. So you come in and you say, hey, I want to buy $20 worth of stuff from you, Quill. And they say, okay, well, you don't have any credit established, so we're not going to give you a net 30 account. But what we will do is give you 90 days to pay us this $20 back. And then if you keep ordering stuff and paying it each month of that 90-day cycle, then in about 3 months, they will give you a net 30 account. But keep in mind, it could take you, again, 90 days to get a trade line established here versus like Lockwood and Associates, which is like immediately. Okay, so drawbacks and negatives and positives in each one of these sources, and that's why you might use a combination of these sources to get you to where you want to be. Now, another true starter vendor account is called Gimplers, and Gimplers offers work supplies and products. They report to D&B, and you've got to place an initial order over $50 and select the Invoice Me option with them. So upon the checkout, they have something it's called Invoice Me, and they will pull the business credit. And if they don't approve you because you just don't have any credit established, then they'll want you to prepay for the order, and you just keep doing this. Keep purchasing and choosing the Invoice Me option until you get approved for net 30 account. So kind of like Quill, they might request 2 or 3 orders from you before they say, okay, we see you're going to be a regular customer, now we'll give you a net 30 account. But that's how you do it. Place an order over $50, choose Invoice Me. This option won't pop up unless the order's over $50. Okay, they're going to pull your business credit. They either approve you or don't. They don't. You keep prepaying, keep doing this, and if you do this a few times, then you should be able to get approved. And again, this isn't just based on like just something I'm making up. This is just literally based on what we see thousands and thousands of clients have success with. Reliable Office Supplies. They sell office supplies, obviously, and promotional products. They report to all 3. So this is like, again, like a gold mine because you can get 3 payment experiences here from one company. These are the best you can get. DB, Experian, and Equifax, which is awesome. And it's a number double bonus because most people don't report to Equifax. So to get a source like this that reports to Equifax is really awesome. And the fact that they report to all 3 is even more awesome because you can get 3 payment experiences in one shot there. Now, again, you got to place an initial order, then request your order be invoiced or billed to your company. They'll pull your business credit. If not approved, keep ordering and requesting to be invoiced or billed. No different than Gimplers. The only difference is they don't have a $50 minimum order. So you just order from them, then you tell them that you want to be invoiced or billed. They pull your business credit. They say, no go, dude, you got to pay. You pay, and you keep doing it. And after a few cycles, they say, well, this person keeps ordering from me, so let's give them a little bit of credit. So if not approved, keep ordering, request to be invoiced or billed. The more orders you place, the better your chance of approval for net 30 terms. Usually it takes about 3 orders with these kind of companies. Some of the ones that I've mentioned have pre-orders required to get approved. Uline, shipping supplies, shipping, packaging, industrial supplies. They report to D&B, and you've got to have your DUNS number established with it. Now, DUNS numbers are free to get. It doesn't cost you any money. You can go type in free DUNS number and get access to one. Just keep in mind, if you do anything with Dun & Bradstreet credibility, okay, Dun & Bradstreet is not the same as Dun & Bradstreet credibility. And if anybody ever calls you and tries to sell you something from Dun & Bradstreet, it's not Dun & Bradstreet. It's Dun & Bradstreet credibility. Whole different company, privately owned, massive amounts of federal trade complaints against this company. Don't buy anything. Bottom line is, you never need to buy anything from Dun & Bradstreet to build a credit report and score. And they'll tell you different. They'll tell you I'm a liar. They'll tell you you have to buy. They'll charge you $800 to $1,200 to buy some credit building package you don't need. And that includes your DUNS number. You don't need to pay for it. DUNS number is free. Go to Dun & Bradstreet. They'll give you the DUNS number at no cost. It's easy. It takes about 30 days if you don't want to pay them to get it. And if you have this, you will need it to get approved with Uline. They'll ask for 2 trade references and bank reference. The first few orders might need to be prepaid to initially get approved for net 30 terms. Now remember, if you went to Lachlan, if you went to Creditera, these people that don't require these pre-orders and got approved with them first, when they did report, you'd probably be able to go to Uline with no issue and get net 30. But if you're starting with Uline and nobody else, they might require these prepaid orders. This is why I'm giving you access to a lot of different sources today. Some require a purchase. Some don't require a purchase. Some report in 30 days. Some report in 90. So this way you have the best selection. Monopolize your marketplace. Okay, they have like a marketing CD set of 10 CDs. They report to Experian. They're a true starter account. They'll approve anybody. Okay, they don't have any qualification requirements. They report fairly quickly. All you have to do is just pay them money. 4 payments of $60. You buy their CDs, 4 payments of $60. They finance it, and you get credit. It's that simple, and they report in 30 days. So this is a phenomenal source. No pre-orders, no nothing. You buy what they're selling. They'll give it to you on credit. They report it to Experian, and you get an account set up. And all you have to have is a bank account, EIN, and a regular deliverable address to get the stuff that they're mailing you. That's it. Okay. So vendor accounts. You need to have a total of 5 payment experiences to start getting revolving store credit. And again, a payment experience is the reporting of an account to one reporting agency. So an account that's reported to Experian and Dun & Bradstreet, for example, would count as 2 payment experiences. You've got to pay your accounts in full and on time. Remember, your business credit scores are only based on this one factor. So you have to pay these bills on time to have a good business credit score. And be patient. Allow time for them to report. Again, as I just showed you, some of them take 6 months to report. Some are 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I told you that time frame to give you a little bit of patience because sometimes it takes them months to report. And it typically takes 3 cycles of them to build business credit scores. Dun & Bradstreet likes to see up to 3 cycles before they give you a Paydex score, for example. So you might have to have those accounts reported on your report for 3 months to get a score. In a lot of cases, it happens faster, even as soon as 30 to 60 days. Most merchants and major retailers do offer business credit, so most stores advertise it. They just have it. They just don't advertise it because there's no benefit. And a lot of people ask why business credit's secret. Well, because if you're willing to give Staples your Social Security number and personally guarantee the debt, they're not going to tell you there's another option. But as your business gets so big, you get CFOs, then CFOs know about this stuff, so they lead the company to the right source. So the bottom line is Staples has no interest in telling the lonely little small business owner that business credit exists. They won't even advertise it or promote it. Instead, they rely on the bigger businesses to come to them already knowing about it. So it exists. Most people offer it. They just don't promote it. Okay, so make sure that you know that it exists, and it exists in most stores, so you know what you can use your business credit for once you actually start getting approved for these vendor accounts. So after you have these 5 payment experiences established, you can then start attaining revolving credit sources or accounts. Revolving accounts are cards, you could use and pay like a little as you go, like a normal credit card that you're probably familiar with. Revolving account approvals will begin coming from stores first. So after that, you move to Visa, MasterCard, stuff like that. So you get your 5 payment experiences, then you can get a Staples card and a Lowe's card and a Home Depot and a whatever. When you have 10 total payment experiences is when you want to start getting Visa cards, MasterCards, Amex cards, stuff like that. And I've got other webinars or videos I've done on my YouTube channel where I walk through the steps of building business credit, where I look at some of those revolving accounts. So most stores will not approve you for credit unless you have an established credit profile. We talked about that already. And vendor accounts must be used first to establish that profile and score. Then that store credit can be obtained. Don't try to apply at stores first, you get denied. And it usually takes only 90 days or less to establish a business credit profile and score trade lines. So that gives you a good idea of how to do it. I mean, I just told you the actionable steps. Make sure your business is set up credibly, get your reports, gave you a real cheap place. You can even dispute the stuff. And again, in the chat box right now, for those of you that came in late, is a link to where you can get credit monitoring for less than $30 and get it like through D&B, Experian, and 2 personal reports, which is cool. Then once you have that done, then you need to get in there and start getting starter vendor accounts. Don't try applying with a social security number. Leave the social off the app and go to these sources I told you here. Now, because you attended this webinar and stayed the whole time, I'm going to send you a playback of this webinar so you can pause it and write down stuff you missed so you make sure you get all the information. But don't try to apply for credit stores. You're going to fail, okay? It's just going to happen. If you got to start with the starter vendor accounts, I gave you 10 payment experiences here in today's webinar. You only need 5 to be able to move on to revolving accounts. And I gave you 10, so I gave you double the amount that you're ever going to need, probably more than you're ever going to see anywhere. So now you have everything you need. If you want to learn more about building business credit for you with us, and you want to work with our team and our technology to do it, check us out, creditsuite.com/business credit. And also, if you're interested in offering business credit financing for customers, making like a lot of money alongside of helping a lot of people, then this will give you more information on this too. creditsuite.com/business credit. There's my email, my phone number. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. And I hope you got a lot out of this webinar. Again, I will send you a playback of this webinar for attending, and I want to thank everybody for taking the time to attend this webinar. Hope you have a great day.